Hey, this is Anthony with RevZilla TV, where you can watch, decide, and ride. Welcome to our detailed breakdown of the new Klim F4 helmet, available in 2012 at RevZilla.com. Klim F4 helmet, top-end dirt helmet. Aggressive in its styling, aggressive in its performance, geared for the off-road market, and in our opinion, it's one of the best venting really options for the single track rider because the vent scheme is going to get a lot of airflow even at lower speeds. Before I even dive into this helmet, I'm going to call you out, Klim. I'm going to ask you directly to develop an enduro-style version of this helmet with a shield for dual sport use and come up with some color schemes that are solid, and I think this would be a really big hit on the road as well for the crossover GS 990 Adventure customer. But looking at it right now in its current configuration, you're looking at a high-end helmet, carbon fiber, fiberglass, Kevlar, in its design geared for a top-end, technical, aggressive off-road rider. Two designs on this helmet. There is no solid version. We have the F4, which is the basic graphic. If you go to the F4 on RevZilla.com, you're going to see this graphic with more of a topographical map style to it. This is the orange and black version, a few other colorways. And this is the slightly more loud geared version here. This is the black and white version. You can see it here. Now, if we look at it, you're going to notice before I take this geared and pull it out of frame that we have these two helmets set up completely differently. And on top of all the features, all the things that are included, what you're going to see is a helmet here on the geared side, which is configured for warmer weather riding. Whoop, and I kind of have, you can see my straps kind of poking up there. And on the right side here, you're going to see the F4, which is set up for cold weather. That includes this beard guard. There's also a Windstopper liner that's installed here that is removable. So really, by season, you can tweak or fine-tune this helmet to get the best performance out of it. So I'm going to move the geared here, and let's walk through the regular graphic, and let's walk through it start to finish. The first thing you're going to see is this is very aggressive in its shape. It's meant to be worn with goggles. Again, it's off-road in its style. One of the things that really stands out is you see all of these ridges. There's a lot going on. There's something like 41 different vents on this helmet. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest surprises to me, and where you've really seen the Klim F4 go for this 2012 version, is your now Snell 2010. They've Snell 2010'd it, and you're still around that 3.5 pound range on a large, which we measured ourselves internally. So Snell 2010, improvements over the previous model. It's now more of an intermediate oval head shape, so it's less round. It's going to fit more folks. And they've also improved the liner greatly. So it's now a microfiber liner with different materials that are going to interface at different points of your face that are going to be softer, as well as wicking, as well as hold up in the long run. And one of the key things, and it's something that the average person wouldn't really notice, is this seam right here used to be a little bit closer to the face for pulling it on and off. And what they found was that seam started to irritate folks. So they've taken that seam and they've actually moved it out of harm's way. And now you have a seam that's designed that's not going to ever come in contact with your skin, which again is just forward thinking. It's a nice thought. It shows that Klim is listening to its customer base. The other thing that's really hard to show, but we can talk about, is all the vent channels. So the pressure chamber system is Klim's term for the way the venting scheme on the inside of this helmet goes. And when we start to pull guts out, you're going to be able to really clearly see that. What they've done is they've deepened the channels and they've deepened the grooves. You're actually giving yourself more room for more air to flow through this helmet and keep you cool while not taking anything away from the protective elements. You know, you're still getting that next generation Snell 2010 standard, which in all honesty, you don't really see a lot on the dirt side of things because most times dirt guys know they're not really wearing this helmet on the street. It's a nice touch for the Snell 2010, and it's an added protection feature, and they've managed to do it without compromising the ventilation or adding dramatically more weight than we should expect in a helmet of this magnitude. Now, before I really dive in here and go bananas, you know, we talked about the fit scheme, we've talked about application, the new head shape. Think about all the things that are included around the $400 mark. I think even at a super premium level, there's a lot of bang for the buck here. So you get the helmet bag, which is a beautiful helmet bag that is vented, that's $50 on its own. That is included with every F4 helmet. You also get a replacement peak depending on the graphic that you choose. One of the cool things here, again, it's all about finishing touches. Klim tends to be anal in their design. I use that lovingly. I love that term. I love the fact that the bottom of this visor is complete and printed as well. Again, it's finishing touches. You're investing in a high-end helmet. It should be complete in its design, both aesthetically and from a protection standpoint. Now, if we look here, a couple things. Again, I talked about this F4 being set up for the cold. This is the breath and beard guard that closes off all the front vents, that actually has a higher seal. You can see how high it comes up here, interfaces with your nose. There's actually a neoprene flap that comes up here. I can do it on this side as well. You can see I pull it up so it's soft. It's not going to chafe against your skin, but it's going to give you better coverage and interface with your goggles if you're riding this in the winter. It's part of the cold weather package. Included, completely removable. When I break it down, I'm going to show you how it comes out. The other thing that's awesome, Klim works with Gore-Tex. We see it in their apparel. Klim has managed to figure out how to work Gore-Tex into the cold weather package for this helmet. And remember, that cold weather package included. I'm walking through everything that you're going to find in the box when you buy an F4. So looking at it, this is Gore Windstopper, which is a breathable windstopper membrane. It's not going to be waterproof. It is water resistant. But that, notice where these holes are, they're going to interface with where the comfort liner meets the helmet. You can see that you can implement the windstopper liner in between the comfort liner and the EPS on the shell, and you can actually tone down some of the external venting on this helmet so that you're not too cold if you're riding, if you're snowmobiling, if you're working in winter months where that extra sweat, if it's getting hit with that cold air, might turn clammy on you, or it might actually become an uncomfortable situation. So you have the ability now to block the airflow, which really I'm not sure if we carry another helmet that has this option. And the fact that it's Gore-Tex means it's windproof. This membrane's guaranteed for life. And the beauty of it is that it's not Klim knocking that off. It's Klim reaching out to Gore-Tex and saying, we're going to include this material and we want to factor it into the cost of each one of these helmets. Also, if we talk about the hardware, the last piece besides the manual that's in the box, you're going to see that we have metallic hardware here, both a replacer for the adjustment for the peak, so you can adjust the angle of this peak up and down, and then here on the side, and it's screwdriver. It's not meant to be a quick change because typically these aren't quick change type of things, but you're going to be able to pull these screws off, and if you ever break a screw or shear one off, you're going to have a replacement for it as well. So now that we've talked about all of the nuances, all of the accoutrement that come with it, let's start getting into the nitty-gritty and let's really break this helmet down. The first thing I mentioned, 41 different vents. I mentioned the pressure chamber system. Looking at it, starting with the front. So we have big chin vents here. We have chin vents that have a dust shield behind it that's waterproof, that's removable and washable. Notice the amount of vents. Snell laughed at them when they came to get this helmet Snell tested because they said there's simply too many holes in your outer shell. It's not going to pass Snell, and it passed with flying colors. So go Klim. You've done a great job of really spending the appropriate time in the R&D. As we move back along the jawline, we now have additional vents. They're going to vent to different areas of the head. As we move up towards the peak, I'm going to pull this peak up, and I'm going to show you up along the crest of the brow, we have a few different vents. We have the typical chimney vents that are going to vent through the EPS into those channels along the top of your head. But what's really nice, and right now I only see Fox, the new V4, being the other helmet that has it, but really you have a venting scheme now where you have these vents along the brow that vent to two areas. They vent to the top of your goggle, so now you get the ability to shoot air into the top vents on your goggle and keep it fog-free, but also right here along this angle, you have the beginning of your pressure chamber system, which actually takes some of this vent and directs it back along the scalp. As we start to rotate the helmet back, you're going to notice three big scallops here. These aggressive ridges. I actually really want to see what this helmet looks like in flat black. That's why I'm asking you, Klim, produce me one, just send it, give me a custom paint job. I think this thing would be gnarly in solid colors because you'd see the contrast of these ridges. But if we look at that scallop design, which again passes all the safety standards, I now have three big scoops, ram air ducts, that as air comes up and over this sphere of this helmet, it's now going to be channeled in, again, three more places that are going to interface with the scalp, these big channels, this pressure chamber system. The beauty of it is all of this air not only comes in through this area, but comes in through all these different vents, gets sucked along the scalp, and now ejects down along the bottom. So three big vents in the back, and three exhaust ports that go down below the backside around the neck roll. So again, you have that huge areas for ventilation. So let's now, at this point, I'm going to bust this guy out. Let's start breaking it down because I really think that, we talked about the premium materials in the shell, carbon fiber, fiberglass, Dyneema, which is a tri-composite, which is a strong and lightweight shell. We've talked about the features. There's no shield mechanism here. It's not a street helmet. So the big thing for the dirt market is how durable is it? How's it going to feel against my head? Is it going to keep me cool? So let's start to break this guy down. Double D-ring. You notice everything's coated. Start pulling cheek pads here. Cheek pads are basic, but notice it's multiple materials. So you have material that's durable along the outside, you have a microfiber material, and then you have a softer material on areas that might get a little bit more pressure. Basic cheek pads, replaceable cheek pads. Pull out the other side. Again, same deal. Now that I have my cheek pads out, Really, those same snaps are holding in that beard guard and this area that's going to block all of the front ventilation, as well as create an area that's going to give me a better seal with my goggles. Notice that it's form fitted. Again, it's an engineered piece. They're not just slapping a piece of fabric in there. And before I do that, I want to show, here are my side vents. You can see that vent here along the side, how much clearance you're getting there from that vented piece that's going to allow air to scoop right in there and give you ventilation down around the jawline. You do have a piece of foam here. This is a high density type of plastic that, again, it's not just hard plastic that if you ended up taking a face plant would mash against your head and knock out all your teeth. This is going to give you some wiggle room there. And again, you take a face plant, you're going to feel a face plant, but at least you have a higher density foam here. This plastic element that's going to give you some shock absorption without being that outer shell type material. Now, as I start to break down the EPS, I'm going to pull out, or not the EPS, but the comfort liner. You can see how easy it was to insert my comfort liner using these eyelets that snap in, and there's my Windstopper liner from Gore-Tex. To pull that off, very quick. It's form fitted. All I do is take it and pull it just like that, and now here's my 3D comfort liner. Klim, again, I love that they put their logo on things. I like that they finish things. Notice even down here along your, where your spinal column would meet your neck, we have venting there. It's going to be a hotter area of your head that gets increased blood flow. And again, just the way that this is designed, it's meant to keep seams away from pressure points. But based on this pressure channel system that's built into the EPS, give you the best chance to get airflow throughout the complete comfort liner. Notice on the inside too, it's really cool. You have these topography lines, or these grading lines that are actually part of the design on the outer shell. They've actually worked on the inner shell. And notice multiple different types of material to interface with different or sweatier parts of your head, as well as parts of your head that might have a little bit, that aren't covered by hair, that might feel a little bit more. So again, well thought out here from Klim. If we look now that I've kind of stripped this guy down, let's bust open the F4 and look at my pressure channel system. I talked a great deal about it, but if you look at the amount of 10mm vent holes, as you start to work your way from the brow all the way back down to these channels and these exhaust ports, again, it gives you the ability to have all that ram air coming in from, I think it's 29 different vents, and in all these different areas for exhaustion to suck that warm, moist air as you're working hard, whether you're a supercross guy or a single track guy or just a weekend warrior out there on the dirt. It's going to give you the best chance to stay cool and stay safe. Again, I'm going to make my same claim to Klim. I'm going to call you out. I'm going to say I want a version with an enduro. I want a shield, and I want a solid color, and I would be a poster boy for this bad boy. I'd love to see it actually without the peak with the shield and rip it around supermoto style on the street. Very cool helmet, very technical. I appreciate the fact that Klim went out and designed their own helmet, which is really different than any of the other dirt helmets we see on the market. I love the fact, too, that they just didn't partner with somebody and take one of those generic shells that sometimes we do see come from overseas and kind of private label it. So bravo, Klim. I think you've done a nice job. The feedback we've been getting from customers is good. And again, I think it's one of the top venting dirt helmets that we have on the market. So first glance, or you're currently riding in it, I want to hear your feedback. I want to know what you think Klim got right, what you think could be improved on this helmet. From our standpoint, this is a welcomed iteration on an already tried design. Leave us your feedback on the product page and Q&A on Facebook, on RevZilla TV on our YouTube channel. Join the discussion through the comments. And as always, you can subscribe to us and stay up to date with all of the new gear reviews that we're rolling out constantly every week here at RevZilla.com. Also, if you're having any trouble comparing maybe the F4 to a VX Pro 3 or a VFXW from Shoei, shoot our Gear Geeks a line. We know product, that's what we do. We're hardcore geeks here at RevZilla.com. See us at RevZilla.com or 877-792-9455. We're happy to spend the appropriate amount of time with you. As always, over $39, ship for free, exchange free, no restock if you need to send it back to us. And you can earn TeamZilla cash on any order over $100 to be applied to your next order by continuing to shop with us. Thanks for watching our extensive detailed breakdown of the Klim F4 helmet, redesigned and new, Snell 2010 for 2012, available at RevZilla.com/Klim. I'm Anthony. We'll see you next time.